What if I told you that the world you see on Zeus's Instagram isn't the real one? The golden yachts, the diamond-lined dinners, the flawless smiles, they're just the surface of a story no filter can capture. Now, behind those perfect posts lies a machine built to control perception, to turn luxury into legend. Every image is designed, every moment rehearsed, every silence bought. For years, the internet has called Zeus the symbol of modern perfection, the man who conquered Monaco and redefined what wealth looks like. But perfection has a price. And the higher you rise, the darker the shadows grow beneath your feet. Tonight, we'll dive into the side of Zeus's empire that money can't polish. The side that never makes it to social media. What drives him when the cameras are off? What keeps his empire standing when admiration fades? Stay with us until the end, because what's coming next will change how you see luxury forever. And before we uncover the truth, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss what happens inside the billionaires. They say Instagram made millionaires famous, but Zeus used it to become a myth. Every frame of his online world looks effortless. Breakfast served on a yacht deck at sunrise, champagne glittering beside a private jet, a smile that says, "I have everything." But what most people don't realize is that this image wasn't built overnight. It was engineered. Behind every post, there's a strategy. Zeus's team studies lighting, angles, and even the timing of each upload to match the Monaco sunset. The comments, the hashtags, the followers, all part of an algorithmic symphony designed to amplify one message: perfection. What the audience sees is not the man, but the brand. He doesn't just sell a lifestyle, he sells the idea that he's untouchable, a living fantasy in a world of filters and wealth. But maintaining that fantasy is exhausting. The more flawless his feed becomes, the less room there is for flaws in real life. Each like feels like applause and expectation. Each post becomes another wall hiding the person behind the empire. Even his friends admit that sometimes they don't know which version of Zeus they're talking to, the man or the character he's become. Because online, he's eternal. Online, he never ages, never doubts, never loses. But in reality, perfection is fragile. It cracks under the weight of comparison, envy, and the constant need to stay relevant. Zeus knows it, that's why he keeps posting. Every image is another battle in his silent war against invisibility. And as the world keeps scrolling, few stop to ask, what's the cost of living inside your own illusion? Because the deeper we go into Zeus's story, the more we'll realize that behind the glow of luxury lies something else, the quiet prison of fame itself. They say fame gives you freedom. But for Zeus, it became a cage made of gold. The same spotlight that once made him untouchable now follows him everywhere he goes. Every move, every word, every look is magnified 1,000 times through the lens of public fascination. In Monaco, even silence has a price, and Zeus learned that the hard way. At first, he loved the attention. The whispers in the Monte Carlo casinos, the cameras flashing as he stepped out of his Rolls Royce, it was intoxicating. But soon, admiration turned into expectation. People didn't want Zeus the man, they wanted Zeus the symbol. The perfect billionaire, the mystery king of Monaco. So he played the part flawlessly. Every event was a performance, every expression rehearsed, every gesture calculated to maintain the illusion of control. But when you live behind a mask long enough, you start to forget what your real face looks like. The nights got quieter, even as the applause grew louder. The penthouse lights glowed, but inside, he was just another man scrolling through his own reflection, trying to remember who he used to be before the world decided who he should become. The paradox of Zeus's fame is cruel. The more people see him, the less they actually know him. And in the world of luxury, where everyone smiles for the camera, loneliness often wears designer clothes. Still, he can't stop, because the moment he steps away, the empire begins to fade. And that's the invisible contract of fame. You can't take off the mask without losing the crown. But what if the real game wasn't about keeping up appearances, but about surviving the silent battles behind them? Because up next, we'll enter the world that truly tests him. a place where wealth isn't the currency anymore. Power is. They call Monaco paradise for the rich, but every paradise hides its politics. In a place where everyone is powerful, true power is never shown, only traded. Zeus learned this quickly. Behind the sparkling champagne glasses and the quiet elegance of the Hotel de Paris, deals are made without contracts, and alliances are built over whispers instead of signatures. At those glittering charity galas and secret dinners by the harbor, nothing is casual. Every seat at the table means something. A simple nod from an oil tycoon, a delayed smile from a banking heiress, it's all part of a silent code. And in this world, trust is currency more valuable than gold. Zeus, once the outsider, became a player in this delicate game. He knew how to read the room, when to speak, when to vanish, and most importantly, when to let others think they were in control. But playing politics in paradise comes with invisible rules. A wrong word can cost you a partnership. A wrong friend can cost you your reputation. And in Monaco, reputation is everything. The elite don't fight openly, they erase quietly. What appears like coincidence often isn't. Behind every smiling photograph, someone just lost a deal. For Zeus, mastering this game meant walking a tightrope between charm and dominance. The same charm that made him famous now became his weapon and his shield. But the higher he climbed, the thinner the air became. Each new alliance brought another risk, another secret to protect. Because in this circle, power isn't about who has the most money, it's about who can make others believe they don't need it. And soon, even Zeus's heart wouldn't be free from these unspoken games. Because the next move on this glittering chessboard would come from someone far closer than anyone imagined, his queen. They say behind every powerful man stands a powerful woman, but in Zeus's world, she doesn't stand behind him. She stands beside him, and sometimes above him. The woman the world calls the Queen of Zeus is more than a symbol of beauty and grace. She's a strategist who understands that in Monaco, affection and influence often wear the same dress. When she entered his life, people called it destiny, two magnetic forces colliding under the Riviera sun. But insiders whispered another story, that she knew exactly what Zeus needed before he did. She became his calm in public and his compass in private, balancing his empire's chaos with quiet precision. Yet even in their moments of luxury, her gaze was calculating, her words measured. Because in the billionaire circle, love isn't just an emotion, it's leverage. She learned the rules quickly. The right appearance at the right event could shift public opinion. A single rumor could move markets. Together, they became Monaco's golden duo, a brand too polished to question, too glamorous to doubt. But beneath the elegance, there were cracks only they could see. Zeus's fame attracted admiration and envy. And the queen, once his ally, started to realize that being part of his empire also meant being trapped inside his spotlight. Was she his equal partner, or just another piece in the grand performance? Some say she began to build something of her own, quietly, intelligently, in the background of his empire. Because in a world ruled by appearances, control often hides behind a smile. And as Zeus fought to protect his public image, she was preparing for something else, a future where her power wouldn't need his name. Because the queen's next move would reveal that even in Zeus's empire, the crown doesn't always belong to the king. They say Zeus's fortune is visible in every corner of Monaco, the penthouses, the supercars, the yachts that look like floating cities. But the real empire of Zeus isn't made of marble or gold. It's invisible, built behind closed doors, across borders, and inside systems that most people will never see. Zeus learned early that true power isn't about owning things, it's about owning what controls them. While the world fixates on his lifestyle, his real wealth flows quietly through a maze of holding companies, discreet partnerships, and silent investments. Real estate in London and Dubai, tech startups in Singapore, luxury fashion houses in Milan. Each piece connects like a web, perfectly legal, perfectly hidden. Every deal he signs is wrapped in confidentiality. His name rarely appears on paper, yet his influence is everywhere. The restaurants he dines at, He owns part of them. The hotels that host Monaco's elite? He helped fund their expansions. Even some of his critics unknowingly profit from his ventures. That's the brilliance and danger of invisible wealth. It moves silently, but it moves everything. To outsiders, Zeus seems like a symbol of success. But to those inside the circle, he's a force that shapes outcomes without ever stepping on stage. When a luxury brand suddenly rises, or a competitor quietly vanishes, it's often not coincidence, it's strategy. A whisper from Zeus's network can redirect millions, shift narratives, even rewrite reputations. But power built in shadows always carries a cost. The more layers of secrecy he creates, the more he must guard them. Each company, each partner, each secret, a potential risk waiting to surface. Because the higher the walls of privacy rise, the more fragile they become under pressure. And soon, that pressure won't come from the outside world, but from within his own empire. Because what Zeus built to protect himself may soon be the very thing that turns against him. They say every empire begins with ambition, but Zeus's empire is fueled by fear. Not fear of losing money or status, but of disappearing. To him, obscurity is the real death. Long after the champagne runs dry and the cameras fade, he wants the name Zeus to remain, carved in the history of wealth, not as a man, but as a legend. This obsession shapes everything he does. His art collections aren't just decoration, they're investments in eternity. Each sculpture, each painting is chosen not for beauty alone, but for legacy. Symbols of permanence in a world where fame evaporates overnight. His business moves follow the same logic. Real estate that outlives generations, foundations that bear his initials, and digital ventures designed to keep his influence alive in the next century. But immortality is never free. The pursuit of legacy isolates him. Friends become business partners. Conversations become negotiations. Even celebrations feel rehearsed, as if he's trying to leave behind a perfect echo of himself rather than live in the moment. Those close to him whisper that Zeus spends nights staring at city lights, not for their beauty, but to measure how much of that glow still belongs to him. To build a name that never dies, he must constantly reinvent it. Newer projects, grander events, more extravagant statements. Each success demands the next, like a cycle that feeds on its own brilliance. And somewhere in that cycle, the man who started it all risks fading behind the myth he created. Because when your dream is to live forever, you forget how to live for today. And soon, this hunger for immortality will push Zeus into the one territory even money struggles to control: the price of silence. They say money talks, but Zeus's money does something far more powerful. It silences. In the world of billionaires, the greatest luxury isn't privacy. It's control. Control over stories, over perception, over what the world is allowed to see. And for Zeus, that control has become a full-time fortress. Every empire has cracks, but Zeus learned to seal his with gold. Business partners sign confidentiality agreements before meetings even begin. Former employees vanish quietly into new lives, comfortable, distant, and conveniently silent. Even the media knows, some doors in Monaco simply don't open without permission. The image of Zeus as the flawless billionaire isn't accidental. It's protected by layers of loyalty, contracts, and unspoken rules. Sometimes silence costs more than truth. A cancelled article here, a redirected rumor there, all achieved with elegance, never force. That's Zeus's genius. He doesn't erase stories, he rewrites them. His influence stretches through whispers rather than headlines, through relationships rather than confrontation. Those who understand the game stay close. Those who don't simply fade from relevance. But the burden of keeping a flawless image is heavy. The more he hides, the more fragile the illusion becomes. Each decision demands precision. One misstep, one misplaced word, and years of perfection could crumble. He lives in a constant state of awareness, surrounded by beauty, yet haunted by the possibility of exposure. Because the truth isn't his biggest enemy, unpredictability is. And as the walls of silence grow higher, so does the loneliness within them. Still, there's one thing even Zeus's money can't fully silence: the echo of his own thoughts. And soon, that echo will lead him to confront the one reflection he can't control: himself. They say the most dangerous moment for a king isn't when he faces his enemies. It's when he finally faces himself. For years, Zeus has built an empire so flawless that even he began to believe it was untouchable. But the higher you climb, the more the mirrors around you start to distort. And one night, standing alone in his glass penthouse overlooking Monaco's golden harbor, Zeus finally saw it. Not the reflection of a billionaire, but of a man consumed by the image he created. Everything he owns, every success, every headline, it all stares back at him, silent but heavy. The yachts, the cars, the applause, they no longer feel like trophies. They feel like reminders of the person he used to be before perfection became his prison. He realizes that the empire doesn't revolve around him anymore. It owns him. Every brand deal, every handshake, every story online has become part of a machine that no longer needs the man behind it. The myth of Zeus has grown larger than life, and now it moves on its own, powered by followers, curiosity, and envy. The brand is immortal, but the man inside it is fading. His smile feels rehearsed, his laughter delayed, his presence choreographed. In the city that never forgives weakness, even a moment of reflection can feel like rebellion. For the first time, Zeus doesn't fear losing wealth. He fears losing meaning. And as dawn breaks over Monaco, the world outside awakens to another day of admiration, unaware that its brightest icon stands in silence, wondering if the cost of greatness was his own identity. Because in the end, the empire he built to control the world has begun to control him. And what comes next will determine whether Zeus reclaims his humanity or becomes the legend that outlives the man forever. Every empire leaves a mark, some written in gold, others written in silence. For Zeus, the fortune he built wasn't just about luxury. It was about control, legacy, and the endless chase to stay above the world that once admired him. But in the shadows of perfection, even the brightest star can begin to question its own light. Maybe that's the real truth behind the myth, that even in Monaco's glittering paradise, power and peace rarely live in the same room. The world sees Zeus's yachts, his penthouses, his parties, but only a few see the weight behind every smile. And perhaps that's the price of being legendary. If you've made it this far, you now know what they don't show you on Instagram: the cost of being untouchable. But the story doesn't end here, because next time we'll reveal how the queen quietly rewrites the rules of Zeus's empire, and maybe even claims the crown herself. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss another untold story from Inside the Billionaires. Thank you for watching, and until next time, remember, even the brightest gold can cast the darkest shadow.